Seems to me to be a pretty straightforward link to be drawn between the level of social and economic participation, involvement, success, if you like, by the various communities, and the level of disinclination to get involved, social cohesion, let's face it, a potential for disruption. Is that the sort of thing that worries you in your constituency?
Well, there is a link, but I don't think we should overplay it.
But Qassim Afzal, you're obviously examining events in the north in the light of the Ousley report as well. Now, heaven forbid that we should overdraw any parallels, of course, between the north and this part of the country. But what are the lessons that you're coming up with?
I think the lessons have to be learned from not just what's happened recently, but sadly, we seem to have revisited the situation once again. As you know yourself, riots have taken place in mainstream Britain before as well, in the 70s and the 80s. And there was a big problem there with cultural communities and
we've seen
police.
a lot of progress in areas like Lozells, Handsworth, the inner cities generally since then.
Yes, we have, but have we really had the kind of progress that we wanted? Because if we had, then would these riots have taken place again? I mean, the social and economic environment is, I think, the cause of what's happening, and somebody like a fascist organisation will feed on that. They'll see that there's several different communities living there, and what they will say, well, economically this particular community is getting more than the other, which is really not true. And I think we can't hide our heads under the sand and think, well, hopefully the communities will come together and we'll solve the problems. We need to be proactive, not reactive, and at the moment whatever's taken place by this government and the previous government has been reactive, and this will cause further problems. We need to tackle the problem at grassroots level.
So the clear theme, really, in this is that your government is underachieving, you're being reactive, you're not taking a lead, and frankly, the regeneration of these communities is lagging behind the pace.
Well, you would expect me to say that I don't accept that.
Of you, Birmingham Forward, which represents youngish, upwardly mobile professional people in the city, in the professional sectors, they say there is woeful underrepresentation of the various ethnic minority communities in professional sectors, from surveying to accountancy to the law. So they're mentoring young people. They're going to put work experience placements in for them this autumn. Is this, briefly, do you feel, the sort of answer that Qassim?
Well, I've been involved in mentoring programs as well, and really it's again a cover-up. You get mentoring programs, you get cultural communities, you take students from universities, you show them what they are able to attain, but when they go out into the real world and they apply for those jobs and positions, they don't get them. If you look right across Britain today, the multicultural community contribute billions to the economy, and yet if you look at the political situation, if you look at the council situation, and if you look at chief executives throughout the country, there's no clear representation there.
Yes, I think one of the big problems is that...
Do you share that vision?
To some degree I share it, but if you look at the problems that's happened in the north, in other areas, it's actually predominantly to do with the social economic environments. And if you look at the racist community, what they've done is they've actually argued saying that more money's gone into a particular area where you have a larger, let's say, an Asian community than where you have an indigenous white community, which is not the fact. The facts here, actually more money has gone into the indigenous area and less has gone into the non-indigenous area. What needs to be done here, the government and the previous government mustn't sweep this under the carpet until tension arises. They need to improve the social and economic environment. So therefore both communities, may they be white or non-white, who are living together at the moment, regardless of state schools which may be segregated by faith, there's no problem with that. The problem is, if you look at the racist people, they have identified that one community is getting more than the other, which is not true. Both communities are living on the same street, both are suffering the same economic deprivation. The economic environment needs to be improved, and the government needs to work much more close, and it has to act now, not in the long term. We need to act now.
Roger Godsiff, keeping our eye on this education, because it is so crucial in terms of the life of these communities, is there an issue here about segregation, integration, thinking of those...
needs to look at it very seriously.
I mean, you've earned your spurs, haven't you? You've fought a very close campaign to become an MEP and narrowly failed. Surely you should, among all the candidates, have had a reasonable shot during this election.
Well, I mean, it's nice of you to say so. And
Democrats, Qassim, you have Lord Dalakir as your party president, but does that really cascade down through the party as a whole?
It's a move in the right direction. I wouldn't say it's categorically the absolute answer. I mean, Lord Dalakir is great, but as you said earlier, there needs to be political representation in all parties at every level. And as far as Liberal Democrats are concerned, I mean, this time they put up the largest number of cultural community representatives for Parliament, and they actually backed them and supported them, which is important.
Look at the support that Roger Godsiff got in Sparkbrook and Small Heath.
Well, naturally, the party, Labour Party throughout the country, even though their votes went down, only half the people voted, maintained most of their seats, while the Liberals improved by 6. So overall, the Liberals have done very well. And I think it's just a matter of time. It's educating the communities. But I think at the same time, without creating further segregation, anybody who is elected into Parliament should be elected because of their credentials and their political understanding and work for the community.
Roger Godsiff, the People's whole of the Midlands, East and West, one Asian MEP, not good enough, is it?
Well,
thank you all for coming in today. Finally, the traditional calm, cloistered atmosphere of the Commons Committee corridor has been shattered this week, prompting our cartoonist into action again.